Okay, let's start with a quick tour and then I'll show you how the system works, okay? As you can see, I ended up going for the folders. So let's start with the first one, which is YouTube. Inside here, we have some notes with a star. Just all you have to do is tap the star to select the star, and others with the star unchecked. So let's go to this video. I started with this page and I needed to test some ideas, and also I needed more space. So I created this link which explains a little bit more that idea. And this is how I was going to start this video. I'm loving the fact that I can arrive from a run and grab the Supernote and take notes. Take things out of my head. This is what I wrote here. If you tap down here, you can go back to that page. Down here, I was talking about the concept of backlog, which is something that I use, and I'll talk more about it maybe in a podcast, article, video, I don't know. So here's another link. Oh, this link here goes to the next page. The taking things out of my head just goes to the next page. As you can see down here, page 2, page 3. But this one here jumps to another node. These are some podcast ideas, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the podcast. It's arriving soon. Okay, then I decided to create, I had this idea for the thumbnail, and I added a new page. So as you can see here, I am at page 2, but this page used to be page 1. And to add a new page, just tap here. And what I did was insert page before. I'm not going to do it again because I have already done it. But if I go back here, I then have the idea I had for the thumbnail. And by the way, down here, I was also experimenting the pens. I at first didn't realize that these were not simply different pens. They are customizable pens. So I can make them, I can create the types of pen I want. You can, I'm not gonna change the settings here because it took me a while to figure out which was the settings I wanted for each one. But as you can see, they all have, if you tap twice, they all have all the pens here. You can select and set them up the way you want. So down here, this was me just trying different pens, different settings, but this has nothing to do with the system. So let's take a look at what I built and how I'm using it.
To understand why I created the system the way I did, you first have to understand my complicated relation with paper. I don't have anything against paper itself. I actually like to write on paper, sketch on paper, but my brain works in a way that it's not compatible with paper limitations. Every time I'm learning something, paying attention to someone talk or a teacher, a presentation, whatever it is, I'm taking quick notes. It can be a bullet list. It can be some sentences. I'm trying to organize that in a way that it makes sense, especially if someone is presenting an idea. That person will never have a linear explanation from the very beginning to the end. Sometimes something will come up during the conversation or the explanation, and I have to put that back where it belongs. You cannot do that on paper, but I can easily do that on a computer. I can make space. I can change something. I can make a sentence become a bullet list or vice versa. I can organize all that. I can organize all that information while I'm taking notes. And I learn so much when I do that because I'm putting everything in the correct space. And when I look at the notes while I'm taking notes, I can ask a question. And so this makes sense, but what is the relation that this has to that, and so on. So that makes sense to me. That's how my brain works, okay? And there's no way to do that on paper. Some apps or devices like the Supernote, they are just mimicking paper, but that linking feature that it's not perfect. It's not like making space. I can move things around, but there's a limitation. But that linking, it's kind of inserting information in between ideas. So let me show you how that works. But that is just that's temporary. I'm not keeping a full note of a video, a script of a video here. I'm using this to capture ideas. It's like a brainstorming session with myself, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me show you first the linking system, how to create a link and how cool it is. So I have here note number 1 and I have here note number 2. Okay, so let's go back to number 1. And let's say I want to create a link. Let me grab a different pen here. I'm going to make the number 2 here. Something like this. Now all I have to do is select this. And as you can see here, there's a chain link here. Click here. You can select from another page in current file, recent files, other file. Let's choose recent files. And go to Note 2. Now I have a link here, and I can tap here to go to Note 2. And of course, I can create a link back to number 1, page number 1. Pretty cool, right? Okay, let's take a look at my system. What you see here are notebooks related to my creative process. Notebook is what you have already seen for these videos. Notepad, I may change this to something like after run or brainstorming. This is just for random ideas. Then demonstrations is for the videos here. Just I need a space to write things like I just did and show you. VCS is my system. This is how I work, how I do things. I'm working on a book and I need a space to organize my ideas. So this is what this is for. And then there is Maker. Here are my projects, building things, woodworking things, anything that I'm building, creating, constructing. And I kept collaborations and podcasting as notes or notebooks because I want to still test things here, experiment with the idea of using a single notebook. When I have an idea, I'll open that folder. Usually I do that when I come back from a run. I then will update a note or create a new note. If it is a new note, I'll add a star because as you can see here, there is a star at the top of the screen. So I can just click here and see all the notes with stars. These are the notes I'm still working on. For example, the first one here is this video. The third note here is in fact the PDF. It's the manual of the simple note. However, I don't have to go inside the folder structure to get to these notes. I can simply slide down here and use the quick access. So I added all the folders here, and I can jump to one of those folders from here. If you don't know how to do this, please go watch my other video to understand how to add things to this quick access menu. The simple note is something that I'm using for now, at least, as a space to capture and organize ideas. You know, when in the movies, when they are recording a movie, they organize all the set and ask everybody to keep in silence, and then suddenly somebody comes and action. Think of the Supernote in my system as before the clapper. The folders here are the organization. I'm organizing information. The stars tell me what's up next. And after the clapper, I'm doing something. I'm recording the video. I'm writing and recording and publishing. I'm writing and publishing an article. I'm building something. I'm constructing something, creating something. So this is before and this, what we are doing now, is the actual action. I would use in the past the word WIP, work in progress, but that was never something that I completely related to, because I feel like when I'm writing things here, when I'm preparing things, it's kind of already work in progress, right? So I'm trying to move to this for a while now, to this other mindset where I have the before, the preparing inside this folders, which I call containers, and then I'm using this information to act, to do something. Then when I'm done, when this video is published, what I'm doing is going into that note and choose the 3 dots, export, select all the notes, export as PDF, and I'll save that in that same container, the YouTube container in my Obsidian. But we'll talk about that when it's time to talk about the synchronization, how I'm synchronizing, because I'm still experimenting with a lot of options. And by the way, this is version 1 of my system. And as you know, version 1 is never the best version. If this was helpful, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And if you want to help even more, please consider joining my Patreon, becoming a YouTube member, or buying me a coffee. Thanks for watching. Thank you for your time. See you soon.